you're shopping for a used SUV right now, there's a good chance you're about to overpay. And not because better options don't exist. Toyota reliability is real, but it's also expensive. And that's created a strange situation where an SUV selling for around $8,000 matches Toyota mile for mile in the ways that actually matter, yet almost nobody wants it. So ask yourself this: are you buying durability or buying comfort? Why are dependable vehicles being ignored? Who benefits when buyers never question reputation? And what happens when the market finally does? Ford Edge. Everyone laughs at this nameplate until they see what actually lives underneath the hood. The Ford Edge from 2011 through 2014 with the 3.5-liter V6 exists in a strange blind spot where reputation overwhelms evidence and pricing collapses for the wrong reasons. This is not a risky experiment or a forgotten prototype. It is a mainstream sport utility vehicle built during a narrow window when Ford chose simplicity over trends, and that decision quietly changed everything. During this era, the Edge avoided turbocharging entirely and paired its naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine with a traditional 6-speed automatic transmission. That combination matters. While competitors rushed toward continuously variable gearboxes and downsized boosted engines, this platform stayed conservative, predictable, and mechanically transparent. The 3.5-liter Duratec 5.6 was already proven across millions of miles in sedans, crossovers, and fleet vehicles, and it delivered smooth power without stressing internal components. Output sits comfortably above 280 horsepower, which means highway passing never feels strained, and long-distance cruising remains effortless even when fully loaded. More important than peak numbers is how that power is delivered. There is no boost ramp, no lag, and no complex cooling system working overtime. Heat is the enemy of longevity, and this drivetrain simply does not create much of it under normal use. Ownership data tells a story most people never hear. High mileage examples regularly cross 200,000 miles, with original engines and transmissions still intact. Failures that do occur tend to be peripheral and predictable, not catastrophic. Suspension components wear, wheel bearings hum, and sensors age, but the core mechanicals rarely implode. That distinction separates expensive surprises from manageable maintenance. Inside, the Edge reflects an era before cost-cutting stripped interiors of substance. Seats are wide, supportive, and designed for long stints without fatigue. Road noise is muted. Ride quality leans soft rather than sharp, and the cabin favors comfort over fashion. It does not chase sportiness or luxury trends. It simply works, day after day, without demanding attention. So, why does it sell so cheaply? The answer has nothing to do with reliability. Ford's brand perception took collateral damage from unrelated products, and the Edge absorbed that penalty despite being mechanically disconnected from those failures. As a result, clean examples routinely trade around $5,000 to $7,000, sometimes less, even as comparable Toyotas command double that. It also benefits from straightforward servicing access, widely available parts, and repair procedures that independent shops understand without special tools. That lowers long-term ownership stress in ways spreadsheets never show. When durability meets affordability this cleanly, the result feels almost uncomfortable because it challenges habits formed over decades. And the next sport utility vehicle on this list exposes that same contradiction even more aggressively. What comes next raises stakes. Nissan Armada. The moment this silhouette appears, most people stop listening, and that reflex is exactly why this machine slipped into obscurity. The Nissan Armada, built from 2008 through 2012, occupies a rare space where size, strength, and mechanical honesty collide with one of the most misunderstood reputations in the entire sport utility vehicle market. What follows is not marketing nostalgia, but structural reality. This generation of Armada is not a crossover pretending to be capable. It is a body-on-frame sport utility vehicle derived directly from Nissan's full-size truck architecture. Underneath sits a ladder frame engineered to carry weight, absorb punishment, and survive years of abuse. That matters because structure dictates longevity long before engines ever fail. power comes from the 5.6-liter Endurance 8-cylinder engine, a naturally aspirated design developed when durability was prioritized over efficiency targets. This engine was not designed to chase fuel economy headlines. It was designed to move mass, tow consistently, and operate under thermal stress without fragility, paired with a heavy-duty traditional automatic transmission, not a continuously variable transmission. The drivetrain avoids the single biggest failure point that damaged Nissan's reputation elsewhere. Output exceeds 300 horsepower, but the real strength lies in torque delivery at low engine speeds. This allows the Armada to operate without strain in conditions that overwhelm smaller sport utility vehicles. Whether climbing grades, towing, or carrying full loads, the engine rarely needs to work hard, and mechanical systems last longer when stress remains low. Globally, this platform tells a different story than it does domestically. Variations of this vehicle are used in regions where infrastructure is poor and reliability is non-negotiable. That reputation never fully translated to suburban driveways, largely because fuel consumption scared off casual interest. 13 miles per gallon is not gentle, but it is predictable, and predictability is often the trade-off for resilience. Inside, the Armada feels unapologetically old school. Seats are wide and upright. Visibility is commanding. Controls are large, physical, and intuitive. This interior was designed for use, not for touchscreens or visual trends. It does not impress in photos, but it endures years of real-world operation without rattling itself apart. Depreciation hit this vehicle brutally. Large size, rising fuel costs, and brand confusion combined to crush resale values. That collapse created one of the strangest gaps in the used market. A full-size 8-cylinder sport utility vehicle selling for the price of a compact crossover. Clean examples frequently appear between $7,000 and $9,000. Even as smaller vehicles with fewer capabilities sell for far more. Ownership data reflects the design intent. Engines routinely surpass 200,000 miles with original internals. Transmissions survive heavy use when fluid is serviced. Rust and suspension wear end more Armadas than drivetrain failure. That distinction matters because cosmetic aging does not strand anyone. This vehicle does not ask for belief, it asks for context. Once that context is understood, its pricing becomes almost irrational. And the next entry on this list proves that size is not the only path to outlasting expectations. If this breakdown is saving you money, hit like to support the work, subscribe for the next list before prices shift, and leave your thoughts below. Subaru Outback 3.6R. This vehicle never announces itself, and that silence is precisely how it survives the noise of the market. The Subaru Outback 3.6R, produced from 2010 through 2014, exists as a quiet contradiction to everything people think they know about this brand. It is not fragile, it is not experimental, and it is not compromised by the failures that shaped Subaru's reputation in earlier years. It is the result of a rare moment when engineering restraint outweighed efficiency obsession. At the center of this Outback is the EZ36 Flat 6 engine, a naturally aspirated design built for balance and thermal stability. Unlike Subaru's smaller 4-cylinder engines, this configuration does not suffer from chronic head gasket failures. The Flat 6 layout distributes heat evenly, reduces vibration, and lowers internal stress over long operating cycles. That engineering choice alone separates this vehicle from the models that damaged consumer trust. Equally important is the transmission pairing. From 2010 through 2014, the 3.6R uses a traditional 5-speed automatic transmission rather than a continuously variable transmission. This matters because drivetrain longevity is often dictated by the weakest link, and here that link is deliberately overbuilt. Gear changes are deliberate, predictable, and mechanically simple, avoiding the belt-driven complexity that plagued later generations. Performance numbers rarely headline discussions about this Outback, but they deserve attention. Power output sits at approximately 256 horsepower, delivered smoothly and consistently across the rev range. There is no turbo lag, no surge, and no dependency on high-pressure systems. The engine does not need to be pushed hard to move the vehicle confidently. and that restraint translates directly into durability. The all-wheel drive system is a defining feature, not a marketing add-on. Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive delivers constant power distribution rather than reactive engagement. In poor weather, uneven terrain, or deteriorating road conditions, traction remains stable without electronic hesitation. This system was designed for environments where grip is survival, not convenience. Interior quality reflects purpose over polish. Materials are durable, layouts are intuitive, and visibility remains exceptional. This cabin prioritizes long-distance comfort and driver confidence rather than trend-driven aesthetics. It ages honestly, showing wear without falling apart, and that distinction matters over a decade of use. Depreciation plays a critical role in this vehicle's value because the Outback straddles the line between wagon and sport utility vehicle. Demand never matched its capabilities. As a result, prices settled into a range that defies logic. Clean 3.6R examples frequently appear under $8,000. Even as smaller, less capable vehicles command higher numbers. Ownership records consistently show engines exceeding 200,000 miles with routine maintenance. Failures tend to be cosmetic or suspension-related rather than catastrophic. Rust is a concern in certain climates, but it is visible, manageable, and rarely sudden. This vehicle does not surprise its owner, and that predictability is its greatest strength. The Outback 3.6R does not chase trends or approval. It endures quietly, waiting for those who understand what actually matters. And the next entry reveals how even a familiar name can hide extraordinary value. Toyota Venza. This is the moment when irony quietly takes the wheel and refuses to let go. The Toyota Venza, produced from 2009 through 2015, with the six-cylinder engine, represents one of the strangest contradictions in modern automotive history. It delivers the same mechanical DNA that made Toyota legendary, yet it remains ignored, discounted, and misunderstood because it never fit a clean narrative. The Venza was engineered during a period when Toyota still prioritized refinement over trend chasing. It rides on the same foundational architecture as the Lexus RX, sharing suspension geometry, drivetrain philosophy, and structural rigidity. That lineage matters because it places the Venza closer to a luxury platform than a compact utility vehicle. Despite its unassuming badge and confused market position, power comes from Toyota's naturally aspirated six-cylinder engine, a design known for conservative tuning and long service life. There are no turbos, no experimental fuel systems, and no fragile components operating at the edge of tolerance. Power delivery is smooth, linear, and unstressed. The engine does not demand attention, and that is precisely why it lasts. The transmission pairing follows the same philosophy. A traditional automatic gearbox handles power delivery with predictable behavior and mechanical simplicity. This combination avoided the efficiency arms race that later introduced complexity into otherwise durable platforms. In real-world operation, fewer systems working harder means fewer systems failing unexpectedly. Where the Venza truly separates itself is ride quality. Compared to smaller Toyota crossovers, it is wider, heavier, and more planted. Road imperfections are absorbed rather than transmitted. Highway stability remains calm and composed, even at sustained speeds. This is not an accident. It reflects tuning choices inherited from its luxury sibling, rather than cost-driven compromises. Inside, the cabin reinforces that intention. Materials are subdued but durable. Seating is supportive without being aggressive. Noise isolation exceeds expectations for a vehicle often compared unfairly to compact offerings. Long-distance travel reveals the Venza's true purpose, which was never visual excitement but sustained comfort over years of use. So why did it fail commercially? The answer lies in styling and positioning, not engineering. The Venza arrived before the market understood what it was. It was neither a traditional wagon nor a rugged sport utility vehicle. It lacked visual aggression and marketing clarity. That confusion limited demand, and limited demand crushed resale values. Today, that failure benefits anyone willing to look beyond shape and perception. Clean six-cylinder Venza examples routinely appear between $7,000 and $9,000 with reasonable mileage. That price places it well below smaller Toyota models, despite equal or greater refinement and comparable durability. The gap is not subtle, it is structural. Ownership history supports this valuation gap as an anomaly rather than a warning. Engines routinely exceed 200,000 miles with routine servicing. Transmission failures are rare. Most end-of-life scenarios involve accidents or corrosion, rather than mechanical collapse. That distinction defines reliability more accurately than brand slogans ever could, especially when measured through maintenance records, inspection reports, salvage data, and long-term durability outcomes over decades nationwide service. The Venza proves that reliability does not disappear when popularity fades. It simply becomes affordable. And the next entry on this list shows how depreciation alone can turn overlooked engineering into undeniable value. Lincoln MKX. Luxury does not usually collapse this quietly. But when it does, the results are uncomfortable for anyone who believes price always follows quality. The Lincoln MKX, built from 2011 through 2015 with the 3.7-liter six-cylinder engine, exists in that collapse zone, where premium intent meets market indifference. What remains is not a failure, but a deeply mispriced machine hiding behind a misunderstood badge. This generation of MKX was developed during a transitional era for Lincoln, before design language stabilized and before branding regained confidence. That timing worked against it. Yet underneath the surface, confusion sits a mechanically grounded platform shared with proven domestic architectures. The structure is rigid, the suspension tuned for isolation, and the overall philosophy leans toward durability rather than novelty. This engine family earned its reputation in fleet service, law enforcement applications, and high-mileage civilian use. It produces over 300 horsepower, without relying on forced induction, complex cooling strategies, or aggressive tuning. Power arrives smoothly, predictably, and without drama. Paired to a traditional automatic transmission, the drivetrain avoids the fragility that defined many competitors during this period. Gear changes are deliberate, not hurried, prioritizing longevity over sensation. There is no continuously variable transmission, no downsized turbo, and no experimental efficiency technology operating near tolerance limits. This restraint is exactly why these vehicles age differently. The driving experience reinforces that intent. Ride quality is composed and quiet, absorbing broken pavement without transmitting harshness into the cabin. Steering is weighted for stability rather than excitement. This is a vehicle designed to reduce fatigue over distance, not to entertain for short bursts. That design goal becomes increasingly valuable as miles accumulate. Inside, the MKX separates itself further. Seating surfaces are generous, climate control is effective, and noise insulation is substantial. Features that once inflated window stickers now exist quietly, no longer signaling status, only comfort. Materials age with dignity, and panels resist the creaks and rattles that plague lesser constructions after years of use. Depreciation struck this model harder than engineering ever did. Brand confusion, changing design language, and shifting consumer preferences combined to erase resale strength. As a result, examples with clean histories and reasonable mileage regularly appear between $7,000 and $8,000. That price places this vehicle alongside compact sedans despite its size, power, and refinement. Ownership data supports the disconnect. Engines routinely exceed 200,000 miles with routine maintenance. Transmission longevity remains strong when fluid service is respected. Failures tend to involve electronics or suspension wear rather than drivetrain collapse. This distinction defines value in ways advertisements never explain, revealing long-term cost stability, predictable ownership curves, and reduced catastrophic risk over extended real-world operating cycles across diverse environments and usage conditions globally. The MKX does not ask to be admired. It simply delivers what it was built to do long after attention moved elsewhere. And the next entry exposes how even a premium reputation can hide in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered. If this list changed how you see the used market, subscribe now. Every week uncovers vehicles mispriced by reputation, not engineering, before attention catches up. Staying subscribed means seeing the opportunity early, not after prices spike and choices disappear completely. Acura RDX. This vehicle disappears into traffic so easily that most people never realize what they just passed. The Acura RDX, produced from 2013 through 2018, with the six-cylinder engine exists in a narrow historical window, where restraint, durability, and refinement briefly aligned before the industry pivoted away. It does not shout, it does not posture, and it does not chase attention, which is exactly why its value remains misunderstood. This generation marked a deliberate reset for the RDX. Acura abandoned turbocharging entirely and returned to a naturally aspirated powertrain rooted in long-term dependability. At its core sits the J35 six-cylinder engine, one of the most widely respected designs in Honda's engineering history. It was tuned conservatively, built with thick tolerances, and designed to operate without thermal stress over extended mileage. Power output approaches 280 horsepower, but numbers alone fail to explain its character. Delivery is smooth, immediate, and linear, without boost delay or sudden surges. The engine does not feel busy, even under load. That calmness is not accidental. Lower internal pressure and reduced heat generation translate directly into longer component life. The transmission pairing reinforces that philosophy. A traditional automatic gearbox handles shifts predictably, without belts, pulleys, or experimental efficiency strategies. This decision alone separates this RDX from many later crossovers that chased marginal fuel gains at the expense of durability. Mechanical simplicity remains the quiet advantage here. Chassis tuning favors balance rather than extremes. Steering response is controlled. Suspension travel is measured, and body motion is managed without harshness. The result is a vehicle that feels stable at highway speeds and composed on imperfect pavement. Long-distance driving reveals the engineering intent more clearly than short trips ever could. Inside, the RDX occupies a careful middle ground. Materials are durable rather than flashy. Controls are physical and intuitive. Seating provides support without aggressive bolstering. Noise isolation exceeds expectations for its class, creating an environment that reduces fatigue rather than stimulating it. This interior was designed to age gracefully, not to impress briefly. Depreciation tells the real story. Despite sharing core engineering with highly valued Honda platforms, the RDX never achieved the same resale momentum. Branding, styling restraint, and market timing limited its popularity. As a result, well-maintained examples regularly appear between $7,000 and $8,000, even as mechanically inferior alternatives command more. Ownership data reinforces the opportunity. Engines frequently exceed 200,000 miles with routine service. Major failures remain uncommon over long timelines. When issues arise, they usually involve predictable wear items rather than structural weaknesses. This pattern repeats across fleet data. Independent repair records, long-term owner reports, extended warranty statistics, service bulletins, and teardown analyses gathered over years of real-world operation under normal maintenance conditions and usage patterns. The RDX proves that durability does not always wear a familiar shape. It hides behind subtle design and quiet competence, waiting for recognition that rarely arrives. That invisibility is its greatest advantage. And the final entry on this list reveals what happens when reliability, restraint, and timing collide perfectly. Mazda CX-5. This is the vehicle that quietly rewrote the rules while everyone else was arguing about badges. The Mazda CX-5 produced from 2014 through 2016, with the 2.5-liter engine stands as a rare example of discipline winning over fashion. It did not arrive with hype, and it did not chase shortcuts. Instead, it was engineered with intent, and that intent reshaped what long-term value actually looks like. During this period, Mazda made a deliberate decision to reject industry trends. While competitors rushed toward downsized turbocharged engines and continuously variable transmissions, Mazda committed to a naturally aspirated four-cylinder paired with a traditional six-speed automatic. That decision carried consequences. It limited marketing appeal, but it preserved mechanical integrity. Less heat, fewer stressed components, and predictable operation defined the platform. The 2.5-liter Skyactiv engine was built around high compression efficiency without forced induction, This approach allowed strong power delivery without the complexity of turbochargers, intercoolers, or pressurized oil systems. Output sits around 180 horsepower, but the engine never feels strained. Power arrives smoothly, builds linearly, and remains consistent across conditions. That consistency reduces wear in ways peak numbers never show. The transmission pairing reinforces this philosophy. The 6-speed automatic shifts decisively, avoids hunting, and relies on conventional gearing rather than belts or pulleys. It is a mechanical solution rooted in durability, rather than optimization theater. Over time, that choice matters more than marginal fuel savings ever could. Chassis tuning separates the CX-5 from its peers. Steering response is precise without being nervous. Suspension balance allows compliance without float. Road feedback is filtered, not erased. This vehicle communicates confidence without demanding attention, making long drives engaging rather than exhausting. That balance is difficult to engineer and expensive to replicate. Interior execution reflects restraint. Materials are chosen for longevity rather than flash. Controls remain intuitive and physical. Panels fit tightly, resisting the rattles and looseness that emerge in lesser cabins over years of use. Noise isolation is thoughtful, creating a calm environment that remains composed as miles accumulate. Reliability data explains why this vehicle earns its position. Independent records show strong engine longevity, with minimal systemic failures. The absence of forced induction and continuously variable transmission complexity removes common high-cost risk points. When maintenance is respected, service life routinely extends beyond 200,000 miles without major drivetrain intervention. Market behavior exposes the contradiction. Despite matching or exceeding competitors in dependability, the CX-5 never benefited from reputation inflation. Mazda's quieter brand presence kept demand moderate. As a result, examples from this generation frequently appear between $7,000 and $8,000, even as less robust vehicles command premiums simply for familiarity. This gap between engineering reality and market perception defines the CX-5's advantage. It delivers durability without drama, efficiency without fragility, and refinement without excess. It avoids hype, resists shortcuts, and rewards restraint through consistent performance over time. It does not rely on nostalgia or mythology. It relies on evidence accumulated mile after mile. That proof appears quietly in ownership records, maintenance logs, and outcomes. In the end, this vehicle does not challenge assumptions loudly. It dissolves them quietly. And what comes next is not another list entry, but the realization that value often hides where attention never lingers. If this breakdown made sense to you, hit like to let me know. I'm adding more videos like this, so subscribing keeps you in the loop. And if you've driven any of these SUVs or found one that surprised you, drop a comment and join the conversation.